What's going on YouTube? So not that long ago, we checked out both the regular version as well as the hybrid version of the all-new Tucson. However, today it's time to check out another brand new addition to the lineup, and that is the inline Tucson. This, of course, is going to be the most aggressive and sportiest version of the Tucson. So, without wasting any time, let's go ahead and jump right into the review and see what this inline throws in. So while the inline on different models within the Hyundai lineup does mean different things, one thing is for certain, and that it's going to have the most aggressive design for that type of model. That is, of course, the case with this Tucson, and you'll see that as soon as you walk up to it. So of course, all the models of the Tucson really do have an aggressive design, including this really large grille. That does mostly carry forward. You'll notice the badge, of course, is blacked out, but most of the changes for the inline are going to be in this lower element. It's going to be a lot larger here on the lower grille. This here is finished in a gray, which is a little hard to see, but if you chose a different color, this would be very high contrast. And then you can also tell you have some updated elements over here as far as your venting and stuff like that. But one of the things that hasn't changed is your really cool LED headlights. So you still have the full LED headlights with that really cool effect that blends right into the grille. This is your daytime running light. You've got the LED turn signal. And as you come down to the main cluster, you've got your reflector LED headlights right there. One last thing, wouldn't be an inline without the inline branding. But perhaps the element you notice even more than the enhanced grille is going to be these really aggressive looking wheels. As you can tell, these have a really exciting design, very complex. You've got a lot of different shapes going on. They really look like nothing else. So you'll definitely know it's an inline just from that. It does have the end cap as well, and these are 19 inches, by the way. As we move above, more inline branding. The inline is exclusively going to have the black mirror cap, and then as far as the rest of that, you're going to have standard heating and blind spot monitoring like the rest of the Tucson lineup.
Now here at the side of the Tucson inline, you're going to have a lot going on. The regular Tucson has a very aggressive look with all these different body lines that kind of come into one. The inline's going to further add for a little bit more aggressiveness since we blacked out all the window surrounds. And we're also going to have these right here, which are the body color moldings. This would be typically the black plastic on all the other models. So this gives it a little bit more of a sporty look. And we also have the roof cross rails optionally on this model. Now, coming around to the rear design of the inline, this is going to be the most aggressive Tucson you can buy, and really all of them are going to be pretty aggressive with the design. So let's break down what you're going to get. We have the Hyundai emblem up here integrated within the glass, and then we're going to have these taillights here which have the signature LED fang look. So as you can see, it goes across the entire back, and we have the LED componentry here. And if we drop down to the lower area, this is where you'll find quite a few of the changes for the inline. We're going to have our reverse light and turn signal in this element right here. The reverse light is actually going to be LED, which is not on any other trim level. And then over here in the middle, we have this silver piece right here, which is completely different for the Tucson inline. And we're also going to have dual exposed exhaust outlets, which is the only Tucson to get that. Now, since the inline is one of the more expensive trims of the Tucson, you are going to have all of your safety systems as standard equipment. So that'd be forward emergency braking, lane keeping assist, auto high beams, as well as adaptive cruise control. However, you will be missing out on a few of the things that the Limited throws in, like rear auto braking, as well as their smart park system. Well guys, we truly appreciate you making it this far in the video. If you haven't subscribed already, please go ahead and do that down below. Also follow us on our other social medias. But for now, let's go ahead and check out the inside.
So walking up to the inline Tucson, just like most of the Tucson lineup, you do have a standard smart entry system with the latest Hyundai key fob, as well as remote start down there at the bottom. And to get inside the vehicle itself, of course, just reach behind the handle, it will unlock. All right, and taking a look inside of the cabin. Of course, you fundamentally have the same design as the other trim levels of the Tucson, but there's a lot of special touches, just like with the exterior, that are exclusive to the inline on the inside. Now, one of the biggest differences will be your seat design. So this comes with an exclusive cloth seat that has a real grippy texture to it. It is trimmed in a leatherette, and you're gonna notice a lot of color contrast piping and stitching finished in this nice red. That's gonna be throughout the cabin. You also have special inline branding as well, and a bigger bolster here to hold you in place. Still very comfortable though. And then turning over here to your door trim, you'll see similar materials reflected up here as well. So we have a leatherette covering the armrest with the color contrast stitching. You have a cloth insert that runs through here, piano black accent, and soft touch along the top. As far as your windows, there's gonna be one touch auto up and down for the driver and the passenger. And as we come down to the pedals, you'll notice these are finished in an exclusive aluminum, and you do have the scuff plate right there. As far as the seats, since this is one of the higher end models, of course you're gonna have the 8-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support. And I've already discussed all the upgrades to the seats themselves. Now, as far as your broad material quality, thankfully the N-Line does carry on the same high quality materials as the other trim levels. So across our upper dash, we do have a soft touch plastic. As we move down, you've got that cool singular vent effect that runs through there, but you will notice a specific update for the N-Line. This cloth does have some special red accenting over there with little X design on it. Looks really nice. As we move down, we've got some more soft touch materials through here. It is going to be hard touch along the center console here. We do have some piano black, and everything in here fits together really, really well, feels super solid. Now start it up, put your foot on the brake, and press the special dark finished button. Now, since the N-Line's foundation is the SEL with convenience package, that does of course mean you will have the 10.25-inch digital gauge cluster. I continue to love this just as much as in the other Tucson models, which we have commended. As you can see, it has a very non-traditional look because it doesn't have a hood, but it's very bright and vivid, so it shows through even the harshest light. And this does have all the same options that you expect, including the safety system information, and the designs of course change when you switch between different drive modes. As we pull back to the steering wheel, as you can tell, this has definitely been updated for the N-Line model. We've still got the same basic design here, but we do have the N-Line branding, we have special stitching, we also have the perforated leather here on the outside edges, as well as the dark accents that run throughout. Really nice looking steering wheel, feels nice in the hand. As far as the wheel itself, it is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, but if you want heating, you will have to upgrade to the top end limited trim level. But now let's go ahead and come over here to interior storage and check that out. I do notice here on the console, we got this nice stitching detail that runs across it. And once we open it up, you'll see a lot of space, really nice, very deep. There's a felt lining at the bottom of it. Obviously, just like with other Tucson products, they're going to fit these coupons in there. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. As we go in front of that, you got your 2 cup holders. Then you have another large storage area up here in the front. This part here is a wireless phone charging pad with ventilation. That, of course, is included with the N-Line. And then you got your chargers up there above it. And then right behind that, you're noticing another aspect that's exclusive to the N-Line. Is we have that signature N shifter that you've seen in some other Hyundai N-Line and N products. Really nice feel with the perforated leather and the red accents. Of course, it is just a traditional shifter, so operation is normal. You're going to pull back for drive. You're going to bump over here to the left if you want to shift manually. But one thing I'm noticing is we don't actually have paddle shifters on this N-Line, which is a little surprising to me. As we go into reverse, you're going to find the standard backup camera up here with the N-Line. This is shared with the lower end models. If you want the 360-degree camera, that's still going to be limited exclusive, but as you can see, you do have the active trajectory on there and really nice looking resolution. And then back behind the shifter, you have your electronic parking brake as well as your brake hold function. Now, one thing you probably noticed right behind the console here, you have this raised area with your buttons. For the N-Line, you're only going to have the heated seat controls. As you can see, there are some spots here. If you chose the Limited, you would also have seat ventilation and the heated steering wheel. But for the N-Line, you have the 3-stage heated seats. And as far as the broader climate controls, these are the same as in most other Tucson products. So you have a dual zone automatic climate control setup. Really easy to adjust here. You've got these nice toggles, and the rest of the controls are touch capacitive, but like I said in some previous Tucson reviews, they're extremely responsive, so it's actually not something that is annoying or anything in the long run, to us at least. And then above that, we have our volume, not really a knob, but more of a roller. So the N-Line is going to come with the upgraded 8-speaker Bose premium audio system, which is shared with the Limited trim level. And we'll go ahead and give that a sample right now. Yeah, so overall sound quality of this system is of course very nice, as we experienced when we had the long-term is in 7-day loan of the Tucson Hybrid. Okay, so now let's go ahead and talk about your infotainment system next. So as you're probably noticing, the N-Line is going to come with the smaller display. So you have the availability of an 8-inch display on your lower trim levels. Up until you get to the Limited, that's going to come with the larger 10.25-inch display. This right here is the 8-inch display for the N-Line model, which means you do have some touch capacitive shortcut buttons along the side, as well as the space to have the physical volume and tuning knobs. And what you're probably noticing is that we're in the Android Auto ecosystem right now. One of the benefits of having the smaller display is the fact that the smaller display is the one that has wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay. So that does mean that you can run, as I'm doing right now, Android Auto wirelessly on the N-Line model. As far as the rest of the infotainment system, this is the typical Hyundai affair. You have a little bit less options as far as settings and stuff with this 8-inch display, but by and large, this is pretty much the same display. You don't have integrated navigation, however. As I move on up here, you will be greeted with a auto-dimming mirror with a frameless design, as well as 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And then up top here, a little bit surprisingly, the N-Line does not come with a moonroof, even though the SEL with convenience model actually comes with a conventional size moonroof, and the Limited with a panoramic one. If you choose the N-Line, you actually do not have a moonroof.
Well guys, this is a Tucson after all, so here I am in the rear seat, which is a very important part about this vehicle. So let's talk about the space first. We have 41 inches of legroom, 39 inches of headroom, which is absolutely massive for this segment of vehicle. That places it above the RAV4, above the CR-V. I mean, this is really almost as large as the Hyundai Santa Fe, so this is about as big as it gets for this entire segment. So really impressive space figures. Behind your seating position, I'm looking at, I would say, 8 to 9 inches of legroom. My feet can slide easily up under the seat as well. Now, regardless of space, let's talk about the features. So we have vents here in the center. That's going to come on your higher end models, and this N-Line is on the upper end of the Tucson lineup. If we drop below that, we have 2 charging USB ports as well. We are not going to have the heated rear seats that you would get on a Limited trim level, but we do still have the center armrest with fold down cup holders inside. Now coming up to the tailgate, you will notice the N-Line is going to have the standard hands-free power one. That does come on the higher end model, so that's a nice touch, and as you can see, you just stand next to it and the tailgate will open. Now as far as the space is, you have 39 cubic feet behind the second row seats. That expands all the way up to 75 cubic feet if you fold them down. They do fold 60-40 split, and that does place it at the very top end of the segment. That bests something like a Toyota RAV4. It's really on par with the best rivals in the segment, so certainly going to be a lot of space back here. Now, as far as the finishings, we have lighting here on the side. We have a 12-volt power outlet. If we lift up the floor, you are going to find a spare tire. And like I mentioned, the seats do fold 60-40 split with these little levers right here. Now our passenger seat is going to be manually adjusting on the inline model. You can't get a power one if you go for the fully loaded limited trim. And then if we open up the glove box, this is a good size space. It's definitely big enough to fit in our coupons. It's not like the biggest thing I've ever seen, but it's certainly class competitive and has plenty of room to spare. And then up top, we have a large mirror. We're gonna have lighting as well. We can also detach the sun visor and extend it.
Kind of ran out of a little space there, but there is a acceleration with this inline Tucson. So when it comes to the inline products in the Hyundai lineup, you have pretty different situations between them. Some of them are going to have powertrain enhancements, more power, and some of them are more on the cosmetic side. This inline Tucson is more on the cosmetic side, so you're actually not going to see any upgrade as far as your engine is concerned. So that means it is going to come with the 2.5 liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine. That's going to be making 187 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Once again, that is the same as most of the other versions of the Tucson. Of course, you can get a hybrid Tucson on the different trim levels, but with the inline, it is only going to be just this engine.
Yeah. That's something I would like to see maybe added in the future, is the hybrid as an option for the inline. I understand why they did that. But the power is okay for something like this. It's, you know, here's an acceleration here. It's not going to knock your socks off. It's certainly adequate, though, for the segment. It's right on par with that of what you get out like a RAV4 or CRV.
Right.
So it's perfectly fine.
You won't be disappointed with it unless you were expecting that it was going to be more powerful than the regular model.
Now, another thing I do want to talk about is just the ride quality for the Tucson Inline. I think that might be a point that a lot of you guys are looking to know about, because, I mean, is this a hard-edged, crossover now, or is it just still a family vehicle mostly? And I think it's going to be the latter for that. I mean, just cruising along the road here, it might be a little stiffer than what we've tested in like the limited trim levels, but overall, it just seems pretty much like a normal Tucson.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really a great thing, because this is a family car. I mean, you might want a little sport in there, but it's really just mainly about comfort.
While we're on that subject, Mason, you can go ahead and get a sound level reading here at 55 miles an hour highway speed.
We're looking at 58 decibels even, which is certainly a good reading. It's actually quite windy outside. That's really the only thing I'm noticing, is a little bit of wind noise, but I think that's just because it's windy. So overall, very quiet. That plays into the whole comfort factor of this Tucson.
Right, and if you're wondering if it sounds any different, no, it doesn't. I don't hear any types of difference as far as the exhaust note is concerned. You may have noticed it does have the ability to tell you when the car in front of you has taken off, and that was also our auto start stop system. Really nice and smooth. They've done a good job with this. You don't really notice it much, but you can defeat it if that's something you don't like. And as far as the transmission is concerned, this is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Just like in the other versions of the Tucson, nice and smooth. It's very much a transmission that you don't really have to pay much attention to. You put your foot down, you do get the extra throttle response. And we're just in the standard mode right now, but what I can do is go ahead and switch us into the sport mode and see if anything feels different.
Yeah, you're not going to get like a dual clutch like you would in a Sonata inline, but definitely fine transmission for the overall mission of this product.
Yeah, as far as the steering, nice tight feel to it, good body control. Definitely enhanced throttle response as well as a little more heft in the steering when you go into the sport mode.
And ba-da-ba-ba, it is time for slam dunk and airball time. I'll kick us off with the airball, and we'll go ahead and get this out of the way. I think that my biggest issue with the inline Tucson is just a few of the little missing equipment features that are on this model. For one, I wish it had a moonroof. It didn't really necessarily have to be the panoramic style that you get in the Limited, but it would be nice to have a moonroof, especially at this price point. And there's just a few little tidbits of missing equipment that this inline at the price point I believe should have.
Right, and as another little interesting thing to consider, our long-term tester Sonata inline does have about the same price, really.
Yeah.
And it did come with more standard features for sure.
Yeah.
And then talking about the Slam Dunk, that's got to be the exterior design. Really like the way this looks. This was already a very aggressive product, but the extra touches that they throw in, I think really brings the Tucson kind of full circle. It really looks nice, especially when you choose like the red that we saw at the press event we went to. Really nice looking combination with the wheels.
Let's talk about the last few bits of information. The fuel economy is going to be rated at 24, 29, 26 combined. If you get all-wheel drive, if you go for front drive, it's actually going to be rated 3 mpg better, so that's certainly something to consider if you need all-wheel drive or not. And then the inline is going to start at a price of $30,600. Now this one is the all-wheel drive version. We also have a few accessories plus the 1225 destination. Brings this one to $34,145.
So at the end of the day, the Tucson inline is simply adding some sporty elements to all the things that we like about the regular Tucson. As we discussed, this of course is not really, super sporty or enhanced in that way like some of the other inline products that Hyundai offers. However, this does give you that full styling experience while you still keep the same engine, the price point stays into a reasonable area, and then you still have, like I said, all the nice characteristics and comfort that you expect for a family crossover like the Tucson. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, there's really not a lot of sporty options in this category. So having that nice sport design, I think, is really a unique thing that's going to make this Tucson stand out.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the all-new 2022 Hyundai Tucson inline. If you made it this far in the video, hopefully that means you found it helpful or enjoyed watching it. So be sure to help us out by hitting that subscribe button down below. It's completely free. We really need you to help us reach our goals, and also follow us on our other social medias like TikTok and Instagram for shorter form content. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.